Constitution of the United States. A sad one for America.
President Trump is impeached tonight for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. Only two other presidents have been impeached in American history, Bill Clinton and Andrew Johnson. The president was at a rally with thousands of his supporters in Michigan tonight when the vote happened. He told the crowd it doesn't even feel like he's being impeached.
The country is doing better than ever before. We did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong. And we have tremendous support in the Republican Party like we've never had before.
And on cable news tonight, two completely opposite views expressed on impeachment. Listen.
What we've been witnessing all day and all night, I'll tell you, is nothing but political theater. I do have good news. All of it's helping the president. They are contributing to the re-election of Donald Trump. How do we know? Look at this. Brand new Gallup poll. The president's approval rating is up, and support for impeachment is down dramatically.
This is a very historic night, a very momentous night, a night of gravity and solemnity. It's also a night that is going to not only leave a stain on President Trump's presidency, but I wonder what it's going to do to his psyche. And we see that happening in real time. And I do wonder, as an American, what does that mean as we go forward?
Yeah, he is clearly furious right now that he's in this category, only the third American president to be impeached by the House of Representatives.
Like we said, two very different views. No matter where you stand on this issue, it is an important day in our nation's history. Lauren Tallarico shows us what's next without all the political drama.
So the president's been impeached. By now, you know this is only the third time it's happened in 230 years. What did happen? Well, the House voted on two articles of impeachment: abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. This after an incident with the president of Ukraine, where Democrats say President Trump threatened to withhold financial aid unless Ukraine did him a personal favor. House Democrats voted yes on both articles, and that was enough for impeachment. But that doesn't mean President Trump is guilty or innocent. It just means he's been indicted, if you will, and the trial is next. The trial takes place in the Senate, probably next month. Now, there really aren't clear-cut guidelines in the Constitution for how all of this should actually work. We do know House lawmakers will be the prosecutors. The White House can pick the defense, and the Senate will be the jury. But the rest, like will there be witnesses or time restrictions, that all has to be hashed out still. At the end of the trial, if 2/3 of the Senate find the president guilty on any article, then he is out of office and the vice president takes over. That has never happened before, and probably won't this time because there are more Republicans than Democrats in the Senate, many of whom have already said not guilty. I'm Lauren Tallarico. Back to you.
All right, so what do you think? Do you agree with the president's impeachment tonight? Vote now on the all-new KHOU11 app. Houston area politicians had plenty to say at today's hearings.
In the name of democracy, on behalf of the Republic, and for the sake of the many who are suffering, I will vote to impeach.
In this, sadly, history will not treat Democrats well. They'll be forever remembered as the Senator Joe McCarthy's of our time.
The bright light of this constitutional democracy has been dimmed because of his acts. The truth is no longer for all. It is for one man, Donald J. Trump.
Madam Speaker, you and your majority may decide today, but I have faith that the American people will decide otherwise next November.